are the top stories this hour. At least 60 civilians killed after clashes in Sudan. 17 dead after railway bridges collapse in India. At least 8 dead after bus plunges into river in Nepal. Welcome to the World News on VOP TV. I'm Joy Adesiwa Iromoseli. The United Nations has stated that at least 60 people have been killed and 250 others injured during an ongoing clashes between the Sudanese armed forces and the Rapid Support Forces in Nyala, West Sudan. The United Nations Office for Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs noted in its latest update preliminary report indicated that approximately 10,000 families, about 50,000 people, fled their homes. It noted that a Turkish hospital in Nyala, the capital city of the South Darfur state in West Sudan, that treats the wounded, which is already understaffed, is reportedly struggling to cope with the influx of wounded people. The OCHA added that there were concerns that the continued fighting will exacerbate the already precarious humanitarian situation and heighten the health and nutrition, sanitation, and food security need of the vulnerable. According to the UN, an estimated 401,000 people live in Nyala and about 95,000 needed humanitarian assistance even before the conflict. According to the Sudanese Health Ministry, Sudan has been witnessing deadly armed clashes between the SAF and the RSF in Khartoum and other areas since April 15, which left over 3,000 people killed and more than 6,000 injured. According to the latest UN estimates, more than 4 million people have fled from their homes, 3.2 million people were displaced internally, and close to 900,000 have crossed the border into Chad, Egypt, South Sudan, and other countries. A railway bridge being built across a ravine in India's northeastern Mizoram state has collapsed, killing at least 7 laborers working on the project, with many others reportedly missing. Video footage posted by Mizoram Chief Minister on Wednesday showed a metal frame that toppled off, towering column into a wooden valley below. Sairang is a town about 20 kilometers from Aizawl, the capital of Mizoram, which lies in the far east of India, bordering Myanmar. Local media reported that 35 to 40 workers were at the site when the incident occurred. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has also extended condolences to the families of the victims and stated that rescue operations are underway and all possible assistance is being given to those affected. Last year, a suspension bridge collapsed in Mobi, killing at least 141. Gujarat is the home state of Modi. Meanwhile, India is anxiously waiting to become the first country to land a spacecraft on the moon's south pole, days after a Russian probe crashed in the same region. Wednesday's attempted moon landing is an historic moment for the world's most populous nation as it rapidly closes in on milestones set by global space powers. Chandrayaan-3, which means mooncraft in Sanskrit, is scheduled to touch down shortly after 1:30 p.m. near the little explored lunar south pole. A previous Indian effort failed in 2019, and the latest attempt comes just days after Russia's first moon mission in almost 50 years, destined for the same region, crashed on the lunar surface. But former Indian space chief disclosed that the latest photo transmitted back home by the lander gave every indication that final leg of the voyage would succeed. He added that the Indian Space Research Organization had made corrections after the failure of 4 years ago, when scientists lost contact with the previous lunar model moments before its slated landing. The mission was launched nearly 6 weeks ago in front of thousands of cheering spectators, but took much longer to reach the moon than those of the Apollo missions in the 1960s and 1970s, which arrived in a matter of days. India is using rockets much less powerful than the Saturn V used by the United States, meaning the probe must orbit Earth several times to gain speed before embarking on its month-long lunar trajectory. The spacecraft landed, which means valor in Sanskrit, detached from its populous model last week and has been sending back images of the moon's surface since entering lunar orbit in August 5. At least 8 passengers have died after a bus plunged into a river in Darfur district of central Nepal. The bus en route to Benihili district, some 300 kilometers away from Kathmandu, met with the accident at Gajuri, which is situated approximately 60 kilometers far from the capital. Among the dead were 2 women and 6 men. The vice chairman of Gajuri Rural Municipality, Shamila Bushural, told reporters over the phone that the bus veered off the road into Trishuli River from near the water fan at Guiri. Half of the bus was submerged in water after it fell into the river. Russia has stated that it had thwarted the latest Ukrainian drone attack on Moscow, but 3 people were killed in a drone strike near the Ukrainian border. The governor of Belgorod region, which neighbors Ukraine and has come under frequent attack, disclosed that the drone hit a sanatorium in a village. It stated that 2 people had died on the spot and doctors had been unable to save the life of the 3rd. The attempted attack in Moscow was not reported to have hurt anyone and only appeared to have caused minor damages. It was the latest in a surge of similar incident and once again forced Moscow's airport to briefly suspend flights as a precaution. The Defense Ministry disclosed that air defense forces near the capital had shot down the 2 drones over the Moscow region, Mozhaisky and Kimsky region. It stated that a 3rd had been jammed and lost control, but it nevertheless hit a high-rise building under construction in a Moscow business district. The same district known as Moscow City was hit twice in 3 days at the start of the month. The state news agency reported that glass panes on the 3rd floor of the high-rise building had been damaged. Unverified videos on social media showed minor damages from the 2 other drones which had been destroyed. There was no immediate comment from Ukraine, which rarely takes direct responsibility for drone strikes on Russian territory or on areas controlled by Russia, but which appears to have stepped up such attacks since 2 drones were destroyed over the Kremlin in early May. Tropical storm Franklin has rolled towards the island of Hispaniola, shared by the Dominican Republic and Haiti early on Wednesday, bringing fears of deadly landslides and heavy flooding in both countries. Franklin was expected to swell above the island for most of Wednesday, with forecasters warning that the storm could dump up to 10 inches of rain, with a maximum of 15 inches in isolated areas. According to the National Hurricane Center in Miami, by early Wednesday morning, the storm was centered about 120 miles southwest of Santo Domingo, the capital of the Dominican Republic. It had maximum wind of 50 miles per hour with higher gusts and was moving northward at 10 miles per hour. Meanwhile, Tropical Storm Harold weakened into a tropical depression on Tuesday night after making landfall in southern Texas, bringing strong winds and rain and leaving thousands of homes without power. In the Caribbean, officials were most concerned about Franklin's impact on Haiti, which is vulnerable to catastrophic flooding given the country's severe erosion. Prime Minister Ariel Henry had urged Haitians on Tuesday to stock up on water, food, and medication as authorities checked on some of more than 200,000 people displaced by gang violence, with some living on streets or in makeshift shelters. A wildfire around the Greek capital Athens that started in the area of Pili has prompted more evacuations, including that of nursing homes and the monastery. As the fire threatened the national park of Panitha, located north of the capital, a major tourist casino resort, and numerous houses in the region, the efforts to control the blaze by hundreds of firefighters, assisted by firefighting helicopters and planes, have remained insufficient because of the strong wind and extreme weather. It added that at least 3 nursing homes and a monastery housing dozens of nuns were already evacuated in the municipality of Agia Pariskevi, over 9 kilometers northeast of Athens city center. The fire already reached some houses in the Agia Paraskevi, and the residents in those areas were ordered to evacuate immediately. The fact that the smoke covers the sky in the capital and adjacent port city of Piraeus proves the magnitude of the fire. The Ministry of Climate Crisis and Civil Protection announced that a very high risk of fire is predicted for Wednesday in 6 regions of the country, including Eastern Macedonia, Rhodope, and Central Attica region, which includes Athens and Piraeus, as well as the western and southern part of the country. U.S. President will be in India on September 7 and 10 to attend the G20 Leaders Summit. Besides commending the Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership of the G20, Joe Biden will also discuss with other leaders a range of global issues, including the Ukraine conflict. The G20 World Leaders Summit will be held in New Delhi on September 9 and 10. India assumed the G20 presidency on December 1, 2022 from Indonesia. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre stated that President Biden and G20 partners will discuss a range of joint efforts to tackle global issues, including on the clean energy transition and combating climate changes, mitigating the economy and social impact of Putin's war in Ukraine, increasing the capacity of multilateral development bank, including the World Bank, to better fight poverty, including by addressing global challenges. Jean-Pierre added that Biden will also reaffirm the U.S. commitment to the G20 as the premier forum of economic cooperation, including by hosting it in 2026. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan stated that Biden's talks with the leaders on the sidelines of the summit will focus on climate changes, Russia's war in Ukraine, and other global challenges. Meanwhile, the Delhi government on Tuesday approved a proposal to declare holiday in the national capital on September 8 to 10 in view of the G20 summit. All schools, government and private offices and commercial establishments will remain closed for 3 days. Several heads of states and diplomats, including U.S. President Joe Biden, Chinese Premier Xi Jinping, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, and French President Emmanuel Macron, will attend the event. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and South African President Cyril Ramaphosa have, during their bilateral meeting, pledged to keep working together to strengthen the voice of Global South. The two leaders held their bilateral meeting on the sidelines of the ongoing BRICS summit. In his address at the BRICS Business Forum Leaders Dialogue, PM Modi stated that India will soon be a $5 trillion economy and in the coming years will be the growth engine of the world. PM Modi's special message to the dialogue was that mutual trust and transparency can help create a big impact, especially in the Global South. BRICS is a grouping of the world economies of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. This is the first in-person BRICS summit after 3 consecutive years of virtual meetings owing to the COVID-19 pandemic. And finally, Chinese president has unexpectedly pulled out of the delivering a speech at the BRICS summit in South Africa, leading to speculations he might be unwell. Xi Jinping was in Johannesburg for the business forum, but asked his Commerce Minister Wang Wentao to deliver the remark instead. The unusual move has sparked speculation that something was amiss, but it is unlikely that Chinese government will provide an explanation. The president's speech brought an air of confrontation to the summit in Johannesburg. The remarks are another development in the growing friction between the US and China, with Xi having earlier blamed the West for the difficulties faced by his country's economy. Xi had met with South African President Cyril Ramaphosa on Tuesday before he pulled out of delivering his speech. And that's it on World News on VOP TV. We would like for you to subscribe and engage us on YouTube. It is Voice of the People TV, and on other social media platforms at VOP TV Live. I'm Joy Adesuwa Iromosele, VOP Business, coming up shortly. Thanks for watching.